Anyway, we're back now. So anyway, we're
Hi.
talking about the Ghost of Tsushima, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly, or
that new
Sushi.
samurai game. I keep seeing this shit everywhere. It's the funniest thing to me, which is like white people being like, white people can't make this game. This is Japanese culture. We can't do that. Fucking cancel Ghost of Tsushima."
Wait, it was actually
Yeah,
made by who?
What? Wait, really?
Ghost of Tsushima is being made by some American developer,
Okay.
and a bunch of white people are being like, "You can't do that," and then a bunch of Japanese people are responding like, "We don't give a shit. We're just happy a samurai game's coming out."
No, if it's like being offensive, that's maybe a different story then,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
No, yeah, no. The gist of the story is just a bunch of white people are saying white people can't make this, and a bunch of Japanese people were being like, "Cool, at least the game's coming out. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?"
I think it's more kind of if it was being offensive, then that's a different story then, you know.
I
But-
presume. What's up?
I'm saying if it's
Yeah,
yeah,
but like,
okay, I was saying if it was offensive, that's
Yeah, but,
maybe a
like-
different story then.
sorry,
But
go
if
ahead,
it's just
go ahead.
and like kind of respecting the lore and such, you know, like of the like Japanese like mythology and stuff, because that's what I understand. It's like a mythology game, more or less, like kind of sort of like in the same realms of God of War and
Mhm.
what else I'm forgetting. What's that and Witcher, and then like what's that game? It's like with in like a European like Portuguese man in Japan like fighting demons. I'm forgetting the name of it now. It's like not Nor,
don't
but
know.
I
don't know.
forget. But like you understand, like respecting the mythology of like each respective
Yeah.
culture it's taking. Now if it's like being insultive, like
I assume it's fine based on the fact that the only people getting upset about this game of Japanese culture is white people,
fair enough.
which are the people that have like no stake in that culture. We're not
No,
worried.
that is
That's not
true.
ours. Like,
yeah, like, I always
yeah, it's like
am like puzzled when white people do this. Like, this is not like the only example. Like, people try
Mhm.
to like push like the cultural appropriation.
The thing is,
Yeah,
it's
it's
more
even though,
akin
like,
to when
the,
you're
like,
profiting
original
off of
culture
it
don't give a
when
shit.
before you would have insulted it. I think that's the main issue. Because like most people, I don't really care if like a person who likes Indian food. That's fine by me, you know. I don't care if they want to open a restaurant. That's fine by me. But when they start saying like, "Oh, this is my own original thing," without giving the due credit, I think that's where the issue rise more or less anything else, if that makes sense.
my presumption is that isn't happening because all of the
no, it's like
all the
quite
people
obvious, but like,
that are actually Japanese that talk about this game seem to enjoy it.
mhm.
So yeah, as a white person myself, I don't understand why we are so concerned about how what's the way to put this in a way that doesn't sound stupid. We get angry at how we portray cultures rather than other cultures being upset with us. Like we kind of put it on ourselves. It's kind of like if you did something like if you went out like let's say you ate something that you ate a pretzel.
Yeah.
And then instead of someone else being mad that it's like, "Hey, you ate my fucking pretzel, you asshole." You went, "God damn it, I ate that pretzel." Fuck.
I mean, the thing is, I think the more issue is akin to like Western, like recent Western history with colonialism and imperialism, where for a long time in these cultures, you like these Western countries or Western nations kind of disregarded them. Said, "Oh, these are subpar. They need the white savior man." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So instead of like being like putting pressure on those cultures, it's a reversal, more as like a reverb, if that makes sense. Because there's a lot of fucked up shit. You have to remember that a lot of these like Western nations did to their own colonies. So like, because you have to understand, like, if you saw like with the United States committed genocides against Native Americans. The Canadians did the same. The Australians as well. Like, what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have these Europeans like with British and French causing purposeful famines in Asia and Africa. Like, what I mean? It's like a more of a reversal of that. It's like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that because it could lead to something like that.
That's fair.
Because my understanding, it's more as like a perversion of like my understanding of that. Because most of that stuff that was done in the name of profit, right?
Yeah.
So now, if you do that, it's like, but in the name of profit, like saying like, oh yes, here's like some braided hair, and the braided hair is like, what the fuck? I think every culture does that, like the specific type, and saying it's ours now, and for profit. I think that's where people get annoyed at. It's like, wait a minute, you're doing the same thing, but if that makes sense, like,
wait a minute,
I know
you're
that's
doing
kind
a colonialism again. Fuck
more it's like neo-colonialism, but instead of being literally invasion, it's more of a cultural one.
Yeah.
You know,
But
like
the
no,
thing is,
again, most people don't
I feel
care
like
because
that
it's like,
blending of
hey, if you
culture
give
is
the due
important,
respects, it's like, hey, this came from like Polish like literature from like the Witcher games, or this came from Greek or like Norse mythology from like Helsing and not Helsing, no, like Helsana Blade or something, and God of War. Like
Mhm.
if you admit that, or if you say like, okay, yeah, we inspired from this, like there's some sort of statement, I don't think people are gonna care. But when people
Yeah.
don't say that, then I think the issue arrives, But people are like perverting that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I I don't know how much the official statement's important. If you're going into God of War and you are surprised
Mm,
when it has, you know what I mean, gods in it, what were you expecting?
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like this
Yeah, I'm not saying
blending
like
of
it needs to be official, but like the creators say like in some sort of thing that's like, oh yeah, we base
yeah.
this off of X, Y, and Z. Like are talking about our inspiration,
I think
if
it's
that
just
makes
important
sense.
that that you're clear about your inspirations. I think it's
Yeah, I
less
think that's the
important
main issue that
I think
where
it's less
people.
important that you're like, "Hey, this is our new game, God of War. By the way, Norse mythology." I think it's more important that you don't go like, "This is our game, God of War, that we came up with. This is all
Mm.
like this is
Yeah.
our thing. This is from nowhere else." At that point, that feels kind of fucked up.
Yeah, no, that's my point because that's what sort of like people are afraid of happening. It's like
Yeah.
fair enough. That's understandable. That should be called out. But like most people, like, but I remember there was this like white girl wearing like it was a few years ago, like wearing a Chinese dress for a prom, and everyone got mad. That's like most people I don't think gave a shit. Then you see like because the thing is like a lot of this stuff, it's just like it's like if they say it's like, oh, I like this X, Y, and Z, and saying, oh no, it's like I made it myself. It's like that claiming your own someone else's work by
It's
yourself. I think
plagiarism. I think
that's
the
what it
bigger
boils
issue
down
here
to.
is
And
plagiarism.
you know. Yeah,
Wait,
I think that's the main issue more than anything
plagiarism?
else is like this fear
Yeah.
of the fear of like this neo-colonialism and then this plagiarism as well because of this our capitalist notion.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's really important that we sort of do
Mm.
things with like mythology and culture because that
Yeah,
shit's so cool. I
yeah,
want to
no, I
learn
don't think
more
anyone
about
denies
that.
that, but I think it's just more akin to people who don't want to have that like same mistake of because we live in a capitalist society, Randy. So if it's not
We
art,
live in
then
a
it's for
society.
profit, and if that profit is like taking from another culture and saying it's its own thing, like saying it's like instead it's like, oh, we inspired off of this, or it's like clearly based off of something. In a sense, like no, it's our thing. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, people definitely do that
I think
still.
the bigger issue here is plagiarism. I think
yeah,
the
no,
issue it's
definitely when
getting
it comes
wrapped
to
up in is cultural
mm,
appropriation. I think these things are
yeah, no,
getting
that is
confused.
true because we've seen plagiarism happen before in
Yeah.
like gaming, and it's like nobody really gave a shit. Yeah, no, because it's one thing to plagiarize, but
No,
it's
it
another thing
happens
to
all the
plagiarize
time.
for
Yeah.
profit. That's where it's
Fair.
like, okay, you want to plagiarize, fine by me, but if you're doing it for profit, that's a different story then.
I feel you.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
mm,
Speaking of plagiarized games, have you guys seen like all those like fucking
yeah,
bootleg
yeah.
running games
Yes,
like
I've
Subway
played a run
Surfers,
with
but like it's
friends.
bad?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Or like
My
the
little brother
crazy
plays
grandma, or
the
whatever the
Tom the
fuck it's
Talking
called.
Cat, but he's a superhero one.
Hmm. That's a
There's
thing.
why are there so many of that just occurred to me. Holy shit, there's a lot of those.
Ah, Jesus
Hmm.
Christ. Yeah, like if you just go into App Store
Hmm.
and you search up
I
like
mean, I
Subway
guess it makes
Surfers and just
sense because
scroll down.
like it's a type of game like what's it? What's the as we discussed the last time I was here, it's a format of game that fits the medium it's on.
Hmm.
Like it's a game that entirely is based around swiping.
Mm-hmm.
And what platform does swiping better than almost every other?
A
Mm-hmm.
phone.
So it kind of makes sense that that kind of game would be popular on
Mobile
phones.
or tablet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Just like how for some reason most like